And we are very lucky to welcome Marie Monmont. Marie Monmont studied French cooking in Lyon with a wide variety of training, including fish and meat cooking, bakery, pastry making, cheese and wine making, and chocolate making from bean to bar. Shh. Then, Marie worked as chef de partie at different prestigious hotels and lodges in California, Namibia, New Zealand, where you work also for the Prime Minister, the French and other embassies. You founded La Patisserie, Miramar, Wellington, and you employed 10 people to bake, cook all French goods with an organic, sustainable approach of work. You own La Fazenda do Cacao, sorry for my pronunciation, Serra Grande, Bahia, Brazil, and also Wildness, focused on producing chocolate with Cucupacu, importers of cucupaçu in New Zealand, and the export of Brazilian foods to other countries. You develop as well, Marie, a range of honey with local suppliers, and your business is based in a prison, which is very important, and you understand now why we call this conference From Bar to Bars, in a prison of Rikimutaka, Wellington, in New Zealand. You also own and operate Wildness Asia, based in Singapore, in a center for mentally handicapped adults, making organic chocolates for corporates, retails, and hotel with similar structures than Wildness in New Zealand. La Patisserie and Wildness have been built to be a social enterprise and have worked with different entities of New Zealand to make it successful. Since January 2019, Wellness Asia Singapore, sisters companies of Wellness in New Zealand. Wellness is New Zealand's fully registered and raised in different parts of course the countries and monitoring as a social enterprise. That's also the very first time that the last 9 years that we have a speakers that they will deliver a talk here in Cergy as well as in Singapore next week, not next year, but next week. You've understood that Marie is based in Singapore. She produces cocoa in New Zealand as well as in Singapore, and she travels around the world, and that's why we have an opportunity to welcome her today. And please welcome warmly with me, Marie Monmont.
I hope to. I don't know if I'm going to stand the whole time. Hello? Yeah. Hello, my name is Mary. Thank you for receiving me today. Thank you. You are the future elite of the world. You're going to be leading businesses that are far bigger than mine, and I hope I can inspire you today. To start with, I love the way you introduced my education. Basically, in French, I have a CAP, BEP. So it's the lowest grade you can get. And today, I'm an entrepreneur. So study is very important, but it's not everything. What you have inside you, you will discover it through your life. And maybe you're going to become an entrepreneur at 20. Maybe you're going to become an entrepreneur at 50. But never give up. When I set up Wellness is my company today. We have one Wellness in New Zealand, as he explained. I've been spending most of my life in New Zealand. And Wellness is based behind bars inside the prison, in the Rimutaka, in the forest. The prison is very far away from the cities, about half an hour, right in the forest, very beautiful. And I proposed, when I built up my business, I proposed to the government a deal. And it was a very brand new deal, because to build a social enterprise, today, social enterprise is a word that everybody understands. When I started 10 years ago, a little bit less than 10 years ago, social enterprise didn't exist. There was no word for it. So I came up with a word on saying it's a company good for the community, it's an enterprise good for someone, for some people, for helping around. It didn't have a real meaning of it. And it was very new. So my background as a chocolate maker and as a chef, I mainly work as a chef, and then I became a chocolate maker. I had the study of the chocolate making from France, but I didn't use it when I work abroad. I work in America and in other countries, and all the time they're asking me for French cooking, for bœuf bourguignon, for poulet fermière, for poulet cocotte, which I was getting paid for making, but my passion was not really that. And chocolate at the time was not like it is today. Today we have a ramping demand on chocolate and a decrease on farming totally. So enjoy chocolate today because it's not going to last long. So when I create Wellness, I had in mind, I put a business plan together. So don't forget, the main thing about this talk today, my background is chocolate making. So I put a business plan together and I put what I want from it. I'm a person who's social. I work always as a team in a kitchen, it's normal. So I like people. And I like to help people who usually don't have the... Oh, yeah, okay. Well, I'll show you after the... Is that the top one? Yeah. No? Oh. I'm not used to. Right one. Okay. All right. So that's the logo of our company, and I'll explain you why we have a logo like that. So when I started, I said, I want to be social. I want to help people around who can't get jobs. And chocolate making is not a full-time job at the beginning. You are very busy at the period of Christmas, you're very busy at Easter, you're very busy at Mother's Day and Valentine, and the rest of the year you don't have too much work. So I started with students. But New Zealand is a very different country, so students, when it's nice weather, what did they do? They go surfing, they go fishing. Nobody really cares about work over there, so it's not a big deal. So my supply of students was very limited if it was a nice day, and Christmas is around summer in New Zealand, so my students were all gone to the beach. And then I thought, I couldn't continue like that. I need to find something more sustainable, more long-term. And looked at different options. And in one of the documentary you'll find about me, I do say my inspiration came from a YouTube video of Pierre Bellemare that everybody knows. Yes, that was my training on to do not lose my French. I'm watching everything, and Pierre Bellemare was talking, and he was saying that this person has been, he learned his job in prison. Straight away, I called back in France, my parents. It was at night, and I said, Maman, Papa, people work in jail in France? My parents don't know much about the jail system in France, so I didn't get the answer I wanted. Next day, at 9 a.m. in the morning, I called up the Department of Correction in New Zealand, and I said, people are working in New Zealand in the prison? Oh, I don't know, I'm going to give you a phone number. And maybe some of you know New Zealand, but New Zealand is a very laid-back country. Name it, everything is possible. There's no bad attitude. Everything, you come up with the most crazy idea. Nobody's done it, but why not? So that's perfect for someone like me. I was very bad at school. I mean, let's say that on 20, I had my average grades were 10, and I was in a low school, so that was not great. So the academic system of France was a bit tough for me. But lucky for me, I had wonderful teachers. I was raised up in a Catholic school with monks, which is very different, in a very countryside of France, in Lyon, next to Geneva and Chamonix. And that the monks have taught me one thing is everything is possible. And I remember when I was at school, I was always on the back like that, somewhere. And I was always putting my head down. I was not making any fuss because I was very bad. At least I was not disturbing the class. But the teacher would always call me up on the stage and shake me, and my last name is Monmont. Monmont, what are we going to do of you later on in your life? And I was like, I don't know. And the monks have always knew that and always inspired me to become, you will find your way, you will find your way. And it actually, I really did. And thanks to that strength they gave me. So off on with my backpack around the world and back onto the prison in New Zealand, I propose I want to pack up chocolate in the prison with prisoners. And you can imagine that the prison, of course, thought it was a prank, a joke. Hang up. And I called back, and the third person you were going to see in the photo, her name is Ailey, and Ailey took me seriously after 4 phone calls. I gave her my business number registered in New Zealand, and I said to her, it's not a joke, we really want to make chocolate inside the prison. And they gave me an appointment, and in 3 days, everything is very fast over there. In 3 days, I had the appointment with the board of correction, everybody, and they said to me, what's your business plan? And I said, here's what I want. I need this. Okay, that's it, done. All right, when you want to start? I said, next week. Yeah, okay, fine. And done. And then a week later, I was inside the prison, and my first day inside the prison, I have no idea what prison was before. I was just getting into something that was far beyond what I could expect. I have no education of We don't have policemen. We don't have army people in my family. We are come from the countryside where zero or pretty much non-crimes, not much crime. So I can't really know I didn't even know what drug was until I got into the prison. Now I've got a PhD onto it. So I got inside the prison, and I remember the first day I work with women. I said, yeah, I will work with the woman, whatever you want. And the first day I got inside my car, and I put my head inside the steering wheel, and I thought, oh my God, what am I getting into? I'm working with people who their background is so far away from mine. And then now, 5 years later, it's awesome. I've changed prison, though, because it was the toughest thing in my life was to work with other women. New Zealand, I think you all know the All Blacks, the size of it. The women are pretty much the same size, and they were very tough. And let's say that it was not easy. And with my look, I look a bit like in between. I'm not in between, I love men. So I changed. I asked to go with the men. There was no misunderstanding. And the Department of Correction told me, yep, no problem, we can find you, but it's much further for you, it's going to be far. And I said, I don't mind, we'll go for far. And I ended up in the Rimutaka prison, so 1,200 inmates, who today, pretty much most of them know me, and know me because of the logo, the monkey. The monkey is coming from Brazil, it's a capuchin. Capuchin is also, it's funny because the designer who came up with it didn't know my background as a child. But the capuchin is also in French the capucin. It's an order from the Catholic Church again. And the hat of the capucin is the same than the capuchin. It's been inspired from that monkey. So there's a lot of meaning behind that monkey. But the main thing is when I'm inside the prison, I'm the only civilian. And I'm a woman. So when I walk around, they need to identify me. And the monkey is always on my back. And in Brazil, it's always on my back too, because it's big like that. It's very annoying. And it's a terrible monkey. It's not a very nice one. The name of the company, Wildness, has been chosen because in English, wildness means everything organic in nature and everything nice and beautiful. So that was perfect. And it fits on a chocolate tablet. That was also one thing. So I'll show you. That's in Brazil. I work with the largest group of cacao producers, which is Barry Callebaut. Barry Callebaut has decided a few years ago to become more sustainable. They wake up to the needs of the people who wants to be more environmentally friendly. And I think that's one of the main key of our business. To be social is nice, but we need to care for the environment too. So I only use organic beans. There's not much child labor into our chocolate, and I say not much because compared to a payroll of most of the other companies. Let's go bluntly, when you buy a cheap chocolate, there's a child behind it. One child equals one cheap chocolate. So with your dollar, you make the difference. Either you decide to be participating into it, or either you decide to do not do it. So I decide to do not do it. I have a family now, and I know that the child labor, I do child labor too sometimes. When I'm busy, they pack up chocolate. But you know what I mean? Like every day, it's not a good thing. So in Brazil, Barry Callebaut has a big factory, which is 35 kilometers away from the fazenda that we own also. And they're processing all the cocoa beans from the farmers. And we put back the men at work over there because men were drinking cachaça. Cachaça is probably a very famous alcohol from Brazil, which is a bit like rum. And the women were working on the field. And when the women are working on the field, the kids are finishing school at 1 o'clock. And what they do, the kids, they go join mommy on the field. If you remove the woman, you remove children. If you put back the men at work, I think everybody understood the point of it. And that's the main thing with Barry Callebaut that I appreciate very much. Then after, I went too fast, sorry. Then after we need to ferment, we need to dry, and then after we see the quality. So today, I'm not going to talk too much about chocolate, because there's far better chocolatier in the world than me, and next door to you in Paris, you have the best ones. Who are not environmentally friendly, who are not social, who are not organic either, but they are very good chocolate maker. So me, I'm making a very good chocolate, a very basic one, but behind that chocolate tablet, there's so much more, and that's what we need to talk about today. So this is the animals you have on the farm. On the farm, it's a food forest. A food forest is when everything grows together in harmony. So we grow banana, mango, that's nutmeg here. We grow lychee, mandarins, lots of other fruits, and caoutchouc. Caoutchouc to make your shoes. And since I arrived in France, I see a lot of girls and boys are wearing Veja. Veja is a brand of Brazilian, I think it's French, but they're doing Brazilian caoutchouc sole, which is fully sustainable, coming from the farms also of where we are in Bahia in Brazil. So it's all about the sustainability. If you're good for the environment, then it makes a good cacao, and everybody's happy. It seems very simple when I talk about it, but in fact, in reality, that's what it is. The thing of today, I think one of our big problems is people, I'm going to be a bit vulgar, because I come from the prison side, you are masturbating yourself onto finding a reason of everything. Don't. Probably because I don't have that education, which is very high. I don't have the time for thinking too much, but see always the simple way of doing things. When you're going to build something that you're working for someone or you're working for yourself, see the simple way of approach. See the way that if you don't are not giving anything, you're not giving a computer, you're not giving, how are you going to work? In prison, my work, I've got no computer, no cell phone, no iPad, nothing. I've got a pen and a paper, and I've got a business today. A few years ago, you would have told me something like that. I would have said, how you do business then? I don't have Facebook, I don't have anything, and there's no photos. And though today there's a business, and behind it, it's a big organization where people are participating into it, and clients understand that. So it really shows that you can be connected as much as you want. I'm the least connected business probably in the world, and then today I still sell chocolates. So it's possible. That's in the chocolate factory. That's when we make chocolates. Our chocolates needs to be very simple. Number one is because of the people we work with. When you work with people who are a bit special, you can't be one of those top chocolate makers, because ideally is to give job to everybody. It's not to me to make the chocolate and then after having just a little bit on the side of people helping me. It's to have everybody working, and that's a teamwork. In New Zealand, I work with prisoners. In Singapore now, I work with people who are mentally handicapped. In a company, in a normal business, you have 10 people normal and 1 handicap, or maybe 2, maybe 3 maximum. In mine, it's everybody. I'm the only one who is not out there a little bit cuckoo. And they call themselves, I loved it, because they came up in December with that, and I really liked it. They call themselves the My Ompa Lompas. My Ompa Lompas is coming from the Chocolate Factory movie. And they came one morning and said, "Where are your Ompa Lompas?" And who's that? And I thought it was a Chinese word for something. And they said, "No, we are. It's like the movie. We saw the movie." So a bit like the kids. So my Ompa Lompas needs to know how to work very simply. I don't expect people to adapt to me. I'm adapting to what you can do. Anybody who comes in my kitchen, what I do, I see what you're capable of, then I'll give you the job for it. And I think this is one of the main things we forget. We ask people so much because of what we can do. What we can as a manager, as a leader, we can do many, many things. But when we hire someone, we expect that same person to do so many other things. And most of the people finish very stressed, overloaded of work, and can't deal with their life anymore, and that's very difficult and very tough. Well, I decided to be very relaxed about it. When the chocolate is bad, or when, there's days where the production is not going well, before I would get angry. Now I don't get angry anymore. It's like, oh, that's okay, we'll eat it. That's a way of saying things a bit differently. This is the cupuaçu. Cupuaçu fruit is coming from Brazil. It's only growing over there. It's a very beautiful fruit. It grows with the cacao. It's in harmony. So I bring that. I'm actually the only chocolate maker in the world to work with it, which I don't understand why, because it's a very lovely fruit. It tastes like a pear caramelized, finished on a mandarin. So for the French taste, perfect. The production is not very big. That's one case. And that's the big fruit in the middle, the brown one. This is cocoa pods, and the other one, the brown one, is the cupuaçu. It's very hard. It's a bit like the coconut. So you need a machete, very labor-intensive again. So the men, one by one, sit on the floor and break that, and then after we get the flesh inside, there's 32 stones. It needs to be breaked up. You need to take the scissors, cut the flesh around it, and then after you get the flesh we dry it, and after we can put it inside pieces into the chocolate. So the pieces you have here, you see, there's a cupuaçu fruit on the left, and the fruit flesh, before it gets dry, is there. It's a very beautiful fruit. So here's my team. I don't have much photos of the prison, unfortunately, very few. But my team in Singapore is good because I can take lots of photos. They love photos. They love hugs and stuff like that. So now I put a rule, 1 hug per day. Because when I arrived, everything was like, oh, and we get happy for everything. So I'm a very happy person, but hugs once a day is enough. When I arrived to work in Singapore, my biggest client, one of my biggest clients, is the group Intercontinental. And they wanted to export the chocolate from New Zealand back to Singapore for the amenities. And I said, no, I'm against that. The food carbon print is way too big. We're going to manufacture in Singapore. I couldn't find a kitchen in Singapore because the laws are very, very different, very strict, very different. You can only have a kitchen in some part of the city. In Paris, I guess everybody can, if you want to have a kitchen next door to here, you can. You get the agreement for it and it's easy. Over there, it's not. After 8 months of looking for premises, I couldn't find anything. And I went back to the group is called IIG. And I said to them, I can't find anything, I'm sorry. And one man came to me, Michael, and he's been awesome. He opened the door for me to this new adventure, and he said to me, Mary, the foundation of Intercontinental has given some money in a center where people are mentally handicapped, and they've built 2 kitchens. Would you like to see it? I said, yeah, sure. I'm open on everything. And I went there. Of course, I finished the meeting. That was 5 p.m. At 5:05, I was on the phone with the guy the next day. I am usually a quick person. So the next day, I was visiting the kitchen. And the guy, I said to him, Philippe, the manager of the charity, I said to him, I want to make chocolate here. Same story than the prison. Oui, sure. With our people? Yeah, okay. Do you think they're going to be able to make chocolate? Yeah, I believe into it. So then he asked me a business plan again. I put the business plan down, and then here we are. Now we're working together, and it's working. It's working nicely, very beautiful. The first day I work with people like them, I'm not a social worker. I don't have any social background. The only one I know is gardening, knitting, sewing, cooking, and reading. And then I started to work with them. And now I work in 2 different countries. When I spend, you have no idea what's the change between talking with prisoners who have a very different background. And in New Zealand, they are there's drugs and murders. So I mainly work with murderers. There's no murders in Singapore because there's the death row. So my whole team is murderers and rapists. And my other team is people where Disneyland is the dream for them. So the conversation goes from one angle to another angle very differently. So the approach of work, at the end of the day, don't forget, I'm a chocolate maker. I just make chocolate. And I go talk with my customer. My customer today are corporates and hotels. So we manufacture for Accor, for IIG, for banks, on the corporates, we work with LVMH, we're going to start working with Deloitte, we're working with other big companies. Like all your big companies you're going to work for, I work with them. They are understanding my job. I don't know if they really understand everything, but it's surely very fun. So the team that I have in Singapore is speaking mainly Chinese, Indian, and Malay. Makes it very challenging, as you can imagine. I do speak English and French. My knowledge in Chinese is very limited. But the main thing, I think, is the culture. The culture of 3 cultures in one kitchen who don't speak each other is that adaptation you need for that. Each culture, we have our own way of being. And to work in that means you have to accept everything and anything. Of course, I put some rules, what I call the French rules. They call it the French rules too in the kitchen because there's few things I can't let it go. It's cultural things. All while with manufacture in our kitchen, we're having a lot of fun, that's for sure. One of the team members came with some wings. Well, I couldn't resist. I had to take the wings and work with it the whole day, and everybody was very happy, as you can see. The man who helped me is on the far back. He's the man with the red hair on the top. He's the one who could set up this whole thing together in Singapore. I was about to give up in Singapore because it was too complicated, and he told me, no, don't give up, you can do it. And he was right. Look, we're there. The only thing is Singapore is very hot, so working chocolate in Singapore is a far more complicated thing than New Zealand or than Paris, for example. This is the very few picture that I have behind bars. So behind bars is in the prison in Rimutaka. Most of my team has heavy tattoo. In New Zealand, there's a lot of tattoo, and we put up, the prison put up a special deal for getting some of the tattoo removed, because in New Zealand we tattoo the face too. So try to find a job with a full tattoo on your face. That's not easy, and that's all about rehabilitation. So to give you an example, in my team in prison, about a year ago, no, actually 2 years ago, there is a unit inside the prison that we called Harmony. Harmony is when you mix a thief, a rapist, a murderer, and you mix another type of crime, a drug dealer, and you tell them to live together. Well, try that. With a kid's rapist, with a murderer, you can be sure that one's going to kill the other one. You can imagine. And in France, we don't mix them because of that reason. In New Zealand, they believe in the reinsertion, that we need to mix together. And to make that work, one of the prisoners I was working with was supposed to go live there, and he's refusing. And I said to him, you know, you need to accept, look, you would have told me 6 years ago I would be working with you. So usually I'm looking at like that. I'll be working with you and not being scared and being with you every day. I would have said, no way I would work with someone like you. And he said to me, oh, if it's so easy for you, then go work with some rapist. That was the only condition I said at the Department of Correction. I'm not working with them. The kids one, this is no way. And of course, I don't know how you say in English, but he bite me at the moment where it was like I was preaching something to him that I knew I was incapable of doing. Well, I learned my lesson, and now I'm working with kids rapists also, and it's doing fine. I'm not saying it's the best thing, but it's okay. It's doing very fine, and our Harmony is working very well. So my whole team is Harmony team, so to learn rehabilitation. All our packaging, you're going to see in our packaging, all our packaging is soy ink printing. Nothing is made outside of the country where we manufacture. So we print with vegetable inks, and we custom print everything. So today you're going to have a chocolate with your ESSEC school name on it. So that's like that. We do one of the best quality product with one of the best packaging. Our company is not about profit. It's a profitable company. It's a normal business like you would run, definitely. So when people say it's not possible, it is possible. It's just the way you approach the thing. It's a social enterprise, so it's social. It's economically very viable. It depends. You have to be good at numbers, but I imagine if you're in a business school like here, you must be quite good at numbers. So I was very bad at math, but I'm very good at accounting. A dollar is a dollar. I know what it is. But 320 plus 560, I have no idea what it makes. So we have put together all those way of working that was impossible to match up. People were saying that's utopia when I started. Well, utopia is realistic today, and there's more and more of us today, so that's where it's good. I see more and more social enterprise created around the world. Today we have a word. Today we call them SE, social enterprise. Today the government of Singapore is giving grants for people who want to set up. In New Zealand it's the same thing. Now we are registered by the government. Before we were not even registered. We were not even recognized. This is our whole range of chocolate. A lot of them with the coupe Wessou. And that's a video from, well, you know, from the channel.
Hello, my name is Mary. I was born in France and I grew up there, and then after I moved to New Zealand, and I'm a chef by trade. I set up a company called Wellness in New Zealand, and we are based half of it inside the prison. I'm working in the Rimutaka prison, and we're working with inmates. Then I decided to come to Singapore and set up the same system that we work over there, and as a social enterprise too. I work here with mentally handicapped persons. We call them adults with special needs. I like the word of it, and it means a lot of things behind it. It's quite difficult to work with them. It takes about 3 to 4 to do the job of one person. It's very challenging. None of us are really understanding each other. I'm speaking French and English. They speak mainly Chinese or Indians or any other dialect. But at the end of the day, when we make chocolates together, it's all our work hands together. I work in Singapore with Ruby chocolate. It's a sustainable pink colored chocolate, which is natural. It's a privilege. Calbo has a very small production of that chocolate here, and I am very happy to be able to make chocolate tablets with it. We want you to eat our chocolates, to continue to be more social. We can all do it together. Canla.
Canla, in Singapore, everybody say canla at the end of a sentence. It's always like that, canla. And I say, you can or you can't? It's a yes or no. It's not can, you can't, you can. I don't know what it means, so I had it into it. In Singapore, we open kitchen. We do lots of chocolate classes, and I bring the corporates to see what we're doing. We need to inspire people. We need to bring the future to understand, for the people to understand that you can have a business and you can be social. When they say it's very difficult, yes, of course, if you're only looking at the productivity point of view, if I had a normal business, I would need 3 guys with me, 3 persons. With this business, I have 17 mentally handicapped people in the kitchen. Of course, the ratio is not the same. But at the end of the day, the amount of work we do in the prison and the amount of work we do in Singapore is exactly the same. So I guess it's up to you inside you, what you believe in. When you're going to create your business or when you're going to work for a company, most of the corporates today, believe me, you in the future, they're going to ask you, we need to be more sustainable. How do we do that? Because there's not a guide. There's nothing written. People come to me and they say, how do you do to transform a company who's been there for a long time and wants to be sustainable today? Because me, it's easy. I started sustainable. I started being everything good from the beginning. But when you are having a company for 100 years and you have to change that, how do you do that transition? And the transition is the hardest part of it. There is plenty easy, simple solution. But because people are looking at usually complicated one and costly ones, it makes it very unlikely that some of them want to change straight away unless they are forced by governments, which will happen at one stage, of course. That's my prison staff. The prison, the only one I can take photo of is and the woman who's there on the photo, she's the one that we started with, who thought it was a joke, and today we're looking at it and we look at most of the prisoners that I work with get a sentence reduction. So then it's good when they work like that, they good behavior and all that, and then they get not less years, but they get good papers to come out, and that's very important. So Ailey, who's there, and the rest of the team also, and the honey, we have the honey in New Zealand also. So here we are. I think I've done the tour of it, so let me know if you have any question. Now we're going to try some chocolate first. Do not expect a chocolate of the most amazing melting moment in your life. It is not. It's a chocolat à croquer, as we call it in French. It's like a chocolate tablet. It's a pure dark organic. There's no child labor behind it. The packaging has been printed. You can take it straight in the ground. It dissolves with the water. Inside, this is the first time I put a foil into it because I traveled with it. Chocolate can turn white sometime when the cocoa butter goes up. No milk, no dairy. It's a pure vegan chocolate. Most of my businesses both countries are vegan. 95% of our production is vegan because I think that's probably also a dietary requirement for the future. So enjoy.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Marie. Could we switch on the light, please? And I will call on stage the students who prepared the question.
Thank you. You know what you're talking about. The chocolate you have in your hand, everything that we do at Wildness, I think about the shape and about the packaging. Most of our packaging, the shape, you will not see other chocolate. I don't copy people. I don't inspire myself from other people. I inspire myself of the people I work with. I see what's their ability. So because the prisoner and the handicapped people are not laborers of what we call hand, when they work with their hands all the time. So I have to design everything that makes it very easy for them to work with it, to make it easy. If I was working with a normal team, someone that I would pay a salary, and everybody get paid normal salary, huh? But if I was working with someone who's normal, then I would probably go for more complicated packaging, more complicated chocolates and things like that. But because I keep everything simple, your chocolate tablets are very simply made, and the same one in the range we have up there, because of that reason. Everything is thought for the people I work with. That it sounds very naive, but when we fold the packaging, this one, I'll show you that. That one.
Shh, please, please.
That one. Those bars, like those ones, like the mango Vietnamese one, which is the same one in this range like that. Those chocolate tablets, when I created, I wanted a chocolate that you put in the pocket, it doesn't break. Because I hate to offer a tablet of chocolate, even if it's from a supermarket, and half of it is broken, it's traveling with you, and it's broken. Ours don't break, that's for sure. They come in the packaging like that, or bigger. But you know, when you receive your packaging, when we print packaging and we receive it, it's coming flat, and you have to fold the box. That detail, for someone who's handicapped, most of my team is half deaf and doesn't see well. So on top of being handicapped mentally, they have also issue with the connectivity between the hands, the eyesight, and the understanding. So when you fold the box, with the packaging company in Singapore, we had to talk about all these details, and the first print is done. There was 0.5 millimeter off on the box to fold it. I can fold the box, you can fold the box, but none of my team could fold the box. And the printer told me, I've never thought of the details of so clearly implicate the details of the printing, how important it is. And when you work with each of you, most of you, when you are together, you don't look at each other, you don't listen to each other. You just pretend you understand each other, but most of us are not. There's another thing which is very French, probably not very much foreigner, that I learned by living in Singapore and in New Zealand mainly. We French, when we go abroad, they all say how arrogant we are. And that's very true. And arrogance, I found a very good sentence for it, and probably for this school it's even better than anywhere else. Arrogance is the ignorance plus the incompetence. So when you are learning how to become humble, and because when I move abroad, I knew everything. Of course, I'm French, I know everything. French cooking, of course, I know. You asked me an eclair. I never made an eclair in my house in France, never. But I went to America, they asked me to make, you know how to make eclair? Of course, I know how to make eclair. I had to go back to the books, but I had no idea, and I learned. And when you make a social enterprise like this one, a normal business, when you become a business and you lead other people, you have to tune down that arrogance because you need to listen to the others. And that's something that life has taught me and that has served me very good so far. Whenever there's conversation, I listen to everybody, and then after, like, I'm pinching from each of you guys, what are you doing good? And I'm putting it. And this business is not my idea. This business is my idea, yes, in some ways, but this is by listening everybody. If I had kept that arrogance that I had when I was 20, when I was so French and so arrogant, I would not have wildness today. So yes.
Thank you, Marie. We can proceed with the question.
Well, thank you, Mario, for sharing your story with us. And I must say that from the forests in Brazil to inmates in New Zealand to differentially abled people in Singapore, you have come a long way. And I congratulate you on that. I must say that your story is very inspiring, and it's going to motivate a generation of entrepreneurs. Now, you must have gone through a lot of ups and downs in your journey. And today, I want to ask you, that how did you overcome your initial hesitation or fear of failure, and how did you and do you tackle the subsequent challenges in your line of business?
All right, that's one of the questions who comes back all the time. When you're an entrepreneur, you're going to a lonely life. That I think everybody knows because it's in every book of the entrepreneurial. Like, learn how to be a business leader, you're going to be alone. But when you go to the social enterprise business leader, alors, there's no way that anybody can understand what you're talking about. And I think how to overcome of it, I think I'm gifted of something that you are probably not, is you are very smart and you're thinking a lot. Because me at night, I don't think that much. I go to sleep very easily. When there's problems, I sleep. And when people told me you're mad, I'm just, yeah, I'm sure it's going to work. So I think I could have overcome all that because I don't think too much. I don't spend too much time thinking. I'm very bad at computer-wise, so I can't spend hours on being on the computer and trying to find a solution. I don't have a secretary, I don't have an accountant, I don't have, my husband now has been part of it for 6 months, he's thrilled. So I don't have all those jobs that are created to make a company. It will come, of course, definitely, but I don't have time to think about it. And I think one of the main reasons is also I have a family. And reality comes back very darn quickly. When you're an entrepreneur and you are starting when you're young, you only have the business to look after. You are focused onto that, and nobody's going to understand you because it's your business. I don't have that. So I guess that's probably the best way to overcome any challenges. And sometimes I know, and I learned that with the time, and I think that's probably something I would have learned at the beginning. When it doesn't work, it doesn't matter, because it means that something else is going to work very well and it's going to be better. When you lose a customer, and sometimes I'm like, oh man, I wish I could have that customer. Another one comes 2 days later and it's like 10 times better. And I'm like, oh, but yeah. So now I don't panic or I don't stress. This is useless, unless you grow gray hair.
Thank you very much.
I really love your speech, and I really respect the women leader, and you are the one. And today I want to ask, as a woman, as a female leader, how do you feel about being a female leader in today's world? Which I think we're still at a stage where men are always the performers. Yeah.
I don't think you're going to be very happy with my answer then. I am not a feminist at all, and I think if I could succeed of what I'm doing, we were talking at breakfast this morning. If I am where I am today, it's because I'm a woman. Because I have a husband who was the bread earner, and who's the bread earner of the family. If I had been a man, I would have need to go to work for someone and can't achieve all what I want. And I achieve it because my husband can pay for the food on the table, can pay for the roof. Feminism as it is and all this trend of it, I am not for it. My favorite things in life is to put my credit card in the machine and it works. I just want the 4 digits. So my husband can tell you, in Singapore, in New Zealand, you put the card in the machine, it works everywhere. And in Singapore, only the card works with the bank. I called him and I was like, the card is not fucking working. He tells me, what's the name on the machine? They're like, I don't care, I want the card to work. He said, no, you're in Singapore. You have to pick the right machine with the right card. Okay. So as a woman, I want people to be free and understand. And of course, the woman, my daughter, I'm teaching her how to be independent. But being independent of the cost of too much work, this is not me. This is really not me. I want to have a salary who comes on the bank account and I don't have to struggle for food. Of course, with my company now, it's fine. But at the beginning, I couldn't have done it if it hadn't been here. We are a society where we live together. And the feminism is nice, yes, but this is unrealistic. The man needs us, but we need them too. In my case, I'm using him in many different ways. But I'm sure he knows very well what we're talking about. He's abusing me in many different ways too. I'm sorry.
Thank you very much for the conference. I wanted to ask a question, maybe more of a business question. How did you convince the investors or your customers to work with you, especially? What is your competitive advantage comparing to the other companies?
It's a very good point, a very good question. I don't have investors. They are dreaming of it, but I'm not opening capital because I want to remain, even my husband wants to be investing with me, but I say no yet, just a little bit. In a business side of view, a lot of social enterprise and businesses in general are failing because their business plan is not strong enough. I'm not saying mine is very strong, but I'm saying mine is so simple that everybody can understand. You're buying a product where it's a good quality product to start with, it's very well manufactured, and the people who are working behind it are getting a very good way out, a good outcome. You can convince your customer the best way you want. It's harder to sell, how do you say that? It's harder to sell something who's shit than something who's good. Because our product is so good and the story who goes with it is so good, when the customer comes to us and say, what's your story? Well, we're matching every point of today's needs. You want to be sustainable, you want to be organic, we are vegan also. So there's all the points of that on the way. It makes it that for a customer, he will buy us. And that's why they approach us, because of that really good, strong business plan. Make sense?
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your speech. You mentioned that in your work, it's not only about chocolates, but it's also about human contact. And the people that you're working with seem really appreciate the human contact that you gave to them. And with digitalization and new technologies developing so fast today, how do you think we can preserve the human contact, the human aspect in work and in businesses in the future?
Especially I'm thinking more about the prison and the one in Singapore, but it's very social in both cases. I think because you're young and I'm a little bit less young, you are hungry for social media, you're hungry for technology, for marketing and all that, and I'm not, because I don't understand it, because it was the beginning, early stages when I started my career. How to overcome and still keep that social knot? I think the one who's going to be like that will be the successful one in the future. Today, whoever buys something in a market or in a supermarket or in a shop, with your dollar, you're the one who makes the difference. With your dollar, today you want to buy a story. But that story, which one you want to buy? You want to buy the bad story or the good story? The social impact that we have is the future. We need to work more socially conscious, like we need to be more environmentally friendly. We need to be also more social, because a lot of the people concentrate their effort onto the environment, like everything organic and all that, which is very good. But we need to care for each other. And I think that's, for the future, a very good business plus. When people know that I work like that, at the beginning of my business, I never say that I was working with a prisoner. I never said I was working with people who are handicapped. And then my customer told me, you need to talk about that. And I'm like, why? You need to capitalize on it. It's very good for marketing. And I said, yeah, but I'm not doing it for you to tell me thank you. I'm doing it because this is the way I am and I like it and I enjoy. I go to work every day and I feel very good about myself. I feel like nice, and it's not given to everybody to have a business where you don't have to work crazy hours, you have a family and you're doing something good for social and environment and you feel good. So I guess in the future, the people want to have more of those stories. And there will be more. I'm the first business like that in the world, but the future is going to... A lot of people are coming to me, we want to become like you. How did you do it? And I give an explanation. You can do it that way, that way, that way. That's some business. Most of the business can change. Even Coca-Cola can change. So there's hope.
Thank you, Marie. Thank you very much. To conclude, I just want to add a few things. The first one, it's actually just one thing. The first one is I met Marie 1 year ago, and that was about 1 year ago when we were in Singapore. And she explained to me the business and what she's doing for as a social issues, not just for that, but as you said, that's what she's doing. And when I said, and I thought that it would be a very nice talk for Imagination Week and to share this experience with you, she was not really confident. She said that it's not what I'm doing. I prefer to be on my workshop in order to make the chocolate, but I'm not really confident to do this talk. And so I convinced her to do that, and she proposed to make chocolate for us, actually, for the Imagination Week chocolate. And I would like to thank her very much.
Thank you to you. Thank you to receive me. Thank you.
Thank you, Marie.